Welcome to the 2022 Wildcard Prediction episode. I'm your football host, Brandon Perna, and today we will look at each matchup and discuss the various ways your favorite team may win or rip the still beating heart out of your chest, forcing you to ask yourself why you put so much of your personal identity into this team this year. It is the playoffs, which means everything is final. And surely one game will receive lopsided officiating that we will all be screaming about in real time on Twitter at Brandon Perna. I'll be live streaming during the Bills Patriots game and maybe the Eagles game, so come hang out if you're bored this weekend. Bored during playoff football. Woo! That's good sports. Please, if you want to curse Tom Brady, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Curse him. New year? New you? New pubes? Today's episode is brought to you by Manscape.com/goodsports. Now it might be time to upgrade your dong tongs, and that's why I recommend the Performance Package 4.0 with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. A cordless, waterproof, below-the-belt groomer that you can use in the shower. So please trim in the shower and stop trying to complete the trim your pubes during your work Zoom call challenge. With the Performance Package, you get the lawnmower and the weed whacker to clear out those nasty nose holes, and the crop preserver and reviver to shine and de-smellify your balls. If you think someone other than yourself might be looking at your naked pelvic area, make sure you put your best phallus forward with the ultimate grooming kit. Use my link below, manscape.com/goodsports for 20% off, plus free international shipping and 2 free gifts. Manscaped. Let's begin with the Bengals vs. the Raiders. It's the Home Alone game, and Kevin McAllister is favored by 6.5 to defeat the Wet Bandits yet again. If the Raiders get the win, it'll be their first playoff victory since January of 2003. If the Bengals get the win, it will be their first playoff victory since January of 91. Keep in mind, that was just a year after Home Alone came out in theaters and the year Derek Carr was born. If you like passing, I would suggest you watch this game. The Raiders had the 6th most passing yards in the league, while the Bengals were 7th. Derek Carr actually had 200 more passing yards this season than Joe Burrow at 4,804, but 11 fewer TDs, and they each threw 14 picks. Of course, if you look at Joe Burrow's last 2 starts, he had close to 1,000 yards combined in just those last couple games. So they've clearly figured something out, Cincinnati. That something? Throw the ball to Jamar Chase. That is plan A. Plan B is to throw it to High T Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And the Bengals' plan B would be most teams' plan A, especially against a Raiders secondary that is solid with Hobbs and Hayward, but tends to get diced up by good QBs. The Raiders' leading ball catcher, by the way, looks like he could be confused for a jockey. The last time these two teams met, Burrow didn't do much, but he didn't have to. Joe Mixon had 123 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in the 32-12 victory for the Bengals. The Raiders' run defense has shored up since then, allowing fewer than 100 rushing yards in 3 of their last 4 games. The Bengals' Trey Hendrickson made the All-Pro team with his 16 sacks, so Derek Carr has his work cut out for him, especially with Sam Hubbard coming at him on the other side. In the end, I think the Bengals receivers versus the Raiders corners is the biggest mismatch in this game, and the reason Cincy finally gets it done in the playoffs. However, there is one scenario where the Raiders win, and I think it's Max Crosby against a very porous Bengals offensive line that allowed Joe Burrow to take 51 sacks this season. 51! No fucking wonder they rested him last week. I do think the Bengals win though, 34-30. But again, my game wrecker could be Max Crosby, who finished the regular season with 101 total QB pressures. That's 20 more than the next best player in Rashawn Gary. And to use another movie reference, Kevin McAllister might not last very long in Mad Max's terrifying world. Then we've got Patriots versus Bills. The Buffalo all the way this time. Bills are 4.5-point favorites in their third matchup against the Pats this season. Now, these two teams are first and second against the pass. If the Bills want to win this game, they have to avoid an ill-fated turnover. The Patriots defense is the second most opportunistic unit in the league, picking off 23 passes this season. That's 2 more interceptions than touchdown passes they've allowed. That's crazy. If the Patriots turn this game into a pick party, they're gonna win. But the last time they played, Josh Allen took care of the ball, 3 TD passes, 0 picks, and no sacks, and no fumbles, despite throwing 47 passes and carrying the ball 12 times. My game wrecker for the Patriots is Damian Harris. He had over 100 rushing yards in each of the first 2 games against the Bills, and I feel like New England has been at its best this year when Harris is angry running his way into the end zone. For the Bills, I think their safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, are game wreckers, officially the best duo on earth. Actually, all the safeties in this game are fucking insane. Poyer, when targeted this season, allowed a passer rating of 15.1. That's called a Glennon. However, the Patriots, Devin McCourty, Adrian Phillips, and Kyle Duggar allowed a passer rating of 26, 56, and 59. Those are all top 10, and McCourty finished with 3 more interceptions than Poyer at 8. And while Joshy Allen may throw a bad pick in this game, he will continue to attack the Patriots, which is why I trust him so much more than McCorkle Jones, who will throw 2 bad picks in this one. It's pretty incredible how good the Bills secondary has been without Trey White. Their defense is as good as New England's without a consistent pass rush. I'd love to see Cole Beasley have a huge game so we can see Bill Belichick die by his own sword. A small white slot receiver. I would note that both of these teams are 10-7 against the spread this season, so it's a toss-up when it comes to betting on this game. That said, I'm taking the Bills! The Bills this time! Only Buffalo is gonna win it! But I don't think they cover. 23-20. Eagles versus Buccaneers. The eagle is the symbol of this country, and dog is man's best friend. And this weekend, we will see the eagle become the dog as Philly is 8.5-point dogs on the road. Jalen Hurts has become the youngest QB in Eagles history to start a playoff game. And guess what? Are you ready for this? Tom Brady is the oldest quarterback to start a playoff game, beating out Tom Brady from the last time he won that Super Bowl. I bet you can't wait to have that factoid stuffed down your throat 5,000 times on Sunday. Tom Brady could legally have sex with the age difference between he and Hurts. Say that on air, Iron Eagle, or whoever the hell calls this game. Bucs fans should worry about one thing in this matchup. How is Tampa going to stop the Eagles' dynamic rushing attack? I really hope the Eagles win this game because I think a matchup with the 49ers where each team runs the ball 50 times would be great theater. Now, the Eagles have had 5 200-yard rushing games since week 6 and have not had one game since then where they were held to under 100. There's a chance Miles Sanders plays with a broken hand, which shouldn't have any issues for a running back. But even if he's limited, Hurts is the team's leading rusher, and maybe Boston Scott is the scatty X factor for the Eagles. The Bucs gave up the 3rd fewest rushing yards in the league this season, but a lot of that has to do with teams not running the ball against them because they're playing from behind. When it comes to yards per rush, Tampa is actually 15th defensively. That makes it all the more important for Philly to come out and get the lead early and stick to the run, even if it isn't working to start. The Bucs may get Levante David back for this one, and their run defense has really not been as good without him in the lineup. When these teams played in the regular season, well, you can almost throw that game out. Philly was going through serious growing pains under Nick Sirianni, while Tampa was actually healthier at that point than they are now. But even that game was close, coming down to just 6 points, and could have gone the other way if not for a ridiculous taunting penalty. Eagles, you're going to be fighting the refs in this one too, just know that. I think the Eagles do pull off a shocking upset on Sunday morning in Tampa, 24-23, as Tom Brady gets smothered under a giant Cox, and Jalen Hurts eviscerates the Bucs run D with 100 rushing yards and at least 2 TDs on the ground. Cox on Brady! Cox on Brady! Owie. Cowboys versus Niners. Dallas is just a 3.5 point favorite in Chara world against the 49ers. Most people watching right now probably don't remember, but the Cowboys and Niners used to be the #1 rivalry in football. Dak Prescott is coming off his best game of the season, although it was against Philly's second stringers. As a side note, I think it's funny when wildcard teams rest their starters. But Dak hasn't thrown a pick in the last 4 games, while San Francisco picked off Matty Stafford twice in their last game. That said, the 49ers are they're not a great pass defense. They've been very injured, are 25th in passer rating allowed, and holy shit, Josh Norman is a key contributor in their secondary. If Dallas wins, it's because Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb go off. The 49ers get away with a suspect secondary because they're good everywhere else on defense. Eric Armstead is coming off a 2.5 sack game, while Nick Bosa has returned to form. That form somehow being even better than his brother at football. I think the battle, though, between Bosa and Cowboys right tackle La'el Collins will be one of the deciding factors in this game. If the Niners can get an early lead, unleash Bosa, and run the ball, they're probably winning this game. But if they fall behind early, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Randy Gregory could eat Jimmy Garoppolo alive. And that perfect body and jawline, tan to medium rare, will be the most delicious quarterback they ever consume. And I know they came back against the Rams, but that's not an ideal position for a team like the 49ers who want to be on top early, all right? They want to be on top and ride it out missionary style, where every thrust is a 6 or 7 yard run by 8 different running backs until completion. 49ers win with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle combining for like 300 yards of offense, 30-27.
Dallas is going down!
Steelers Chiefs. Hopefully, Mike Tomlin is awake for this late Sunday game. Otherwise, the Chiefs may essentially cover the 12.5 point spread they were given for this one. By far the most lopsided bet of wildcard weekend. Ben Roethlisberger, who could be playing in his last game, said this ahead of the Chiefs game.
I would assume as a group you understand that, we probably aren't supposed to be here. We're probably not a very good football team. Out of 14 teams I think are in, we're probably number 14. We're a double-digit underdog in the playoffs. So let's just go play and have fun and see what happens. We don't have a chance, so let's just go in and play and have fun.
Now the Steelers had that same fuck it attitude before, and it was back in 2005 when the Steelers went all the way as a wild card team. But these teams are not equal. Big Ben was a lot more dangerous back then. That Steelers defense, though, in 2005 was a lot more stout and had a more reliable receiving core for Ben to throw to, although this one is very explosive. But this current receiving group sort of lacks that toughness that Hines Ward brought to the field. God, I wish we could see Hines Ward block Tyrann Mathieu. Oh my God. The Steelers secondary is pedestrian, basically the worst thing you can have against the Chiefs and all of those talented ball catchers. We saw a hobbled Tyreek Hill in the season finale. He was a full participant for the Chiefs at practice this week, so I'm guessing he'll be ripe for touchdowns. A carefree attitude, though, is not enough to take down the Chiefs. See my Broncos last week. I am expecting a much closer game than we saw 3 weeks ago in Kansas City. I just don't see Big Ben going out like Dan Marino, getting shellacked 62-7 by the Jaguars. And I know that's not hard-hitting analysis, but sometimes these things are about a gut feeling as much as they are about breaking down the numbers, which, as we know, are all in the Chiefs' favor anyway. except for quarterback sacks. With just 31 on the season, they were 4th worst in the NFL, the Chiefs. And unlike the Eagles, who are great at generating QB pressure but have low sack numbers, KC only gets after the quarterback when Chris Jones is on his A game. Good thing the Steelers' offensive line is bad, and that Frank Clark doesn't try until the postseason. But my game wrecker might just be Melvin Ingram seeking revenge against the defense that was too dumb to use him. I think KC wins this one though, 36-27. But hey, if Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian can literally come together, maybe the Steelers can shock everyone. And then finally, Cardinals-Rams. The Rams are favored by 4.5 at home. The Rams and Cardinals split the series this season, with each team winning on the road. The Cardinals' win came back in week 4, but since that game, Arizona has gone just 7-6. Meanwhile, the Rams have made 2 key additions since then in Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller, 2 guys who are both making their first playoff appearance in at least 5 years. Each team is getting back a key piece though. The Cardinals get J.J. Watt back off of IR, while the Rams add Cam Akers on offense, just a few months removed from that torn Achilles, which again is absolutely insane. Which return, though, is going to be more valuable? I think it's Watt coming in to help a defense that sort of collapsed down the stretch, but adding Akers to the league's 25th ranked rushing offense should take a little pressure off of Matthew Stafford in the passing game. Watt, of course, adds the pressure to the passing game, so it might just zero out. Watt has 28 pressures on the season for the Cardinals, which is still 3rd most for the team, even though he hasn't played most of the season. Getting him back really helps open things up for Chandler Jones and Marcus Golden. Plus, back in October, the Cardinals held Cooper Kupp to his lowest receiving yardage total for the season at 64 yards. Outside of that, he never had less than 92 in a game all season, so maybe they can repeat. My game record, though, just might be old James Conner, who actually had more touchdowns this season than Cooper Kupp. Kupp had 16. Conner had 15 rushing TDs and 3 receiving TDs. Conner had 2 rushing tuds the last time around, but took the L. DeAndre Hopkins won't return this week, but that might not matter since the Rams had to sign Eric Weddle due to several injuries to their secondary, which I talked about in this video already. Now Zach Ertz has been Kyler Murray's favorite target for the last month, and AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and Rondale Moore have done almost nothing during the Cardinals' losing streak. One of those guys needs to step up. I don't think it matters that this game is being played in LA. For some reason, the Cardinals are more comfortable on the road anyway. Both of these teams know they have a chance to return to this stadium in February, but I think it will be the Rams who take this one 35-28, the classic real football score. Thanks for watching my wild card prediction episode. Please check out another video. I've got one on the screen for you. Again, I'll be streaming the Bills game, maybe Eagles Bucks, but just come back during the games to see if I'm live. And if you want to hang out, talk some shit, and enjoy football with my dumb voice, let's do it. Let's do it together.